Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Commander and Coffee. We're bringing you all things Bruin. With me today, I have Max. Say hi,
Hello.
Max. And probably the best cEDH player, I'll say, in the country. Some say the East Coast. Jorman.
What's up? What's up?
This man is unstoppable. I've played against him multiple times, so has Max. He cannot be stopped. He is the GO.A.T of cEDH right now. Do you have any arguments to that, Max?
I don't know. We're pretty even in not in tournament games. In tournament games, he kicks my ass 90% of the time. But outside of that, it's relatively even. We have some of the best Magic games I've ever played, though. I will definitely say that.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun. It's always a grind. It's always in like round 3 of tournaments, so it's like either goes to time or someone wins very fast. The games with Max are always great. Also, the games with you, Billy, they're always good.
I'm a little bit further away than you guys, so it does take it's few and far between, but they are really good games. I remember the first time I played against you, I Rip and Ship. We were both in the top 4, just hanging out, having a good time.
That was an insane game, only because I tried to go off into a Dranif, and then you and Trent were just so quiet the entire time. Let me resolve breach and everything, and then Trent pushed, and I ripped the fierce guardianship off the top, and then we still went to time. That game was insane.
Yeah, that was nuts. So with that, some of your recent accolades are Festival of Nights winner. I know we're a little bit outside of when it happened, but life happens. And just recently you run Bonfire, and in between that, you also won the Rip and Ship Tropical Island. Was that right?
Yeah. And I top 16 Mox Masters too.
Oh, just casually top 16 in
And
Mox
I'm
Masters.
pretty sure he won the Rip and Ship event prior to that. This man has just been on fire. I think you've collected more dual lands from winning events than most people have purchased in their lifetime.
Yeah, I've definitely won. Oh, yeah, I've definitely won a lot of those Rip and Ships. I think the one before the Trop, I think that was the one where it was the 3 Tivits versus the Sisse, but
Right.
the one before that, I definitely won. I definitely won the Underground Sea. Yeah, that was insane.
Right, that's the one that JR knocked me out of because he had a greedy fish and didn't counter anything, and I had to spend all my removal.
Yeah, there's so much greed in the format right now. So much greed. No one's keeping anything.
I think it's a lot of greed in the open meta, the Rip and Ship meta. People are playing a lot of things way too quickly, but I think that's why people like yourself and JR and those Turbonos players do so well when they come into those events, is because they just look for the opening, take their greedy shot, and by that point everybody's spent out their creatures and is on too much of a mid-range list to really answer anything about it.
Yeah, I think it's just like a question of when to overextend yourself, when to use your advantage. And I also feel like some NOS players, they do know how to create that window, whereas mid-range players just jam a whole bunch of card advantage, which is where someone can just push into your heuristic study or play a defense grid and make them have it, and then they just don't, because they spent all their mana trying to set up card advantage engines. So it's definitely weird, that question between open metas and teching for ribbon ship versus teching for 100 something player tournament.
So that's a great segue right there. So you've played in multiple Rip and Ships, you've played in multiple open metas, and you've played in multiple, we'll just say 64 plus major tournaments, whether it's Festival, Punt City, so you didn't go to Silicon Dynasty, did you? But I know you went to Cookout, multiple of the Eminence events. How do you feel that the meta is actually shaping up? I mean, has it changed since, Punt City 1 to now?
I was at Punt City 2, and I definitely think the meta has shifted with things like Orcish Bowmaster and Talion and the One Ring. It's weird. Sometimes I feel like calling it a mid-range meta, but I don't feel like we're in like a completely mid-range meta because turbo decks can still do good, and I, I don't know what I would like say determines the meta. I feel like obviously people are playing into those like heuristic mystic play patterns that everyone says. I call those like basic bitch cEDH tendencies because I feel like everyone is just like keeping T1 Remora or like keeping T2 Vamp Tutor, like play mana crib, play heuristic study. So it's like I guess like I wouldn't call that a mid-range strategy. I just say a lot of people are just trying to set up card advantage engines very, very early and then ride those to victory. Whereas like the turbo players are just like, oh, I'm just trying to jam the moment I can jam. And I feel like Stacks is even I feel like Stacks or Stacks players are realizing that they have to play blue because they keep getting blown out. So like then there's this whole new wave of like attrition, Demir control players, which is cool. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. Last night I killed someone with that meme betrayal blood chief ascension combo. That was really cool. Being able to just like, oh, I have a live blood chief ascension. I'm gonna cast meme betrayal. I'm not gonna cast any spells off of the meme betrayal. I'm gonna just end my turn. Okay, you have 20 cards going to your graveyard. You're dead. That's 40 damage. That was insane.
I was not aware that that was a thing, but that sounds fantastic. As far as like the people going for turn one fish or advantage hands, it's like I don't even think that's just mid range players. I've seen Rogsai players doing that. Like you see your first two hands and they're just not good, and then at that point, once you're at 5 cards, you're just like mulling over and over again until you hit that hard card advantage spot because like cards are our resource, right? We can't play the game without them. So I think everybody right now is really, really reliant on both Fish and Remora and any other seeming card advantage that they can get. It's kind of like the definition of the format right now is just drawing as many cards as you can, and drawing cards essentially wins you the game. Like when you have 15 cards in your hand to go off, you're pretty much like you should be winning it there, right?
Yeah, I agree. And then there's like the decks that don't necessarily care about the Bowmaster coming out. So it's like they'll just continue to draw cards and let the Bowmaster blow out all the creature decks. And they're just like, thanks, as long as I don't die to a Bowmaster, I can just continue to accrue card advantage and just win because my win is so like low to the ground, or I can get there with a dockside or rituals. So yeah, definitely to tie it back into Billy's question, I feel like this meta is in like this weird like limbo space where everyone is just trying to draw cards though. I feel like that's the name of the game. And even many people that bitch about Bowmaster, I feel like even they're just dropping card advantage engines early. So and drawing into Bowmaster. So does it really matter? I don't know.
I think there's no way to play around Bowmaster. Like as I said before, it's like cards are your resource system. Without your resource system, not doing anything is just not really like caring. And we have 40 life. So as long as your creatures aren't super impactful, and most of the creatures that we care about are ETB based, um, you really like shouldn't care about Bowmaster. Yes, it's a strong card. Yes, it can be impactful when you're trying to run creature strategies, but like the format says no right now. So until we have an answer or antithesis to Bowmaster, like you're just leaning into it because it's going to chip everybody down. Um, if you're an Adnos player, you probably still don't care because you're going to Adnos into your card advantage, and like just don't play creature strategies right now that overextend into creatures because most of those creatures aren't drawing you resources anyway, and like having them in the field is a liability versus having them in your hand.
Right. Or you play like a low to the ground creature combo where like Devoted Druid just gets enabled by Swift Recon, and you're just like, all right, yeah, I won the game. Or Machine God Effigy. You're just like, my creature is just a distraction to me actually trying to end the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest things that I grew up learning in all forms of Magic was pretty much the things that rule Magic in general are time, card advantage, and efficiency. And time is how many turns it takes for you to do your thing. Card advantage as well. You know, how many cards do I get to see before more than my opponent? Because the more cards that you're going to see over your opponent, you're going to win more often. And then the other one is efficiency. Using your mana efficiently. That's more important, like limited and stuff like that. But it works out here too. Your efficient spells, your efficient casting, and how efficient you are with utilizing those spells and stuff like that more than your opponents. And that's really what it breaks down to overall. And you know, some people tend to just be like, to Jorman's point of, you know, oh, snap keep a fish. Like some people will snap keep a fish and just be like, yeah, I'll get there through it, and have like 6 lands and a fish. And be like, yeah, that's fine. You know what I mean? But then they don't look at the table and go, oh, there's 2 creature decks at the table. I'm not going to get to draw off the fish. You know? So I do definitely agree with that. I definitely like how the idea that we are in between metas kind of shifting. I've noticed personally that it has slowed down quite a bit, and has been more creature focused, because you can also see in the counter spells, we're getting off of the counter spells that are not fully off of the counter and sorcery type ones, but like we're getting to more of ones that take care of creatures and creature things. And we're seeing the rise of different types of creature-based commanders. Tivit's a huge one right now that I think that's coming ahead. I've been trying to pick up my jaw off the floor with the Meme Betrayal Blood Chief Ascension thing, because Blood Chief Ascension was one of my favorite cards growing up. So we're gonna have a conversation later.
Same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like it's like weird. It's so cool. Like you had that dude that played Nimrus, and then that like created this entire new wave, I guess. Like I want to call it of like attrition in Demir. So like like looking at the Demir color palette like that, it's really cool. The fact that you can like play those Children Edict effects or play those instant blood effects early to try to tempo people from like casting those early Timnas or getting out those early Thrasios. It's like a cool way to like look at the color pie. And then it's like then you think the Italian came out and they're like, okay, cool. So let's take this like a step like deeper, and then we will then talk about how we can like pressure the life totals, right? So if you think about the stacks pieces that they're playing, or like even you naming Tivit, Billy, it's like you think about the slots and how Tivit uses slots. So you have silver bullets like Grafdigger's Cage, you have your cursed totems, right? And then you think about the way these Demir decks want to use their slots. It's like, all right, if my commander is already making you lose 2 life and is going to have me trigger Blood Chief Ascension at the end of the turn, and if we want to play things like Cage to stop early Underworld Breach attempts or to stop like you from tutoring in a dockside, then if cards are inevitably going to go into your graveyard because we want access to our Meme Betrayals late game and we don't want to run a Doggy Voidwalker because Timna isn't our commander, then we need to like look at our cards choices and our slots differently. So like having that attrition, like I just feel like having that attrition game plan in the late game is going to be insane, and it's going to like decide a lot of games because people aren't going to know what's happening. The Italian's going to like you're going to take so much chip damage from the Italian. The Blood Chief Ascension is going to be live, but it's not really going to be affecting you until you're at like 15 life. Like I feel like that Italian, yeah, I feel like Italian being introduced to the meta is like very very cool. That's why I call it the American Ball, because it's like adding that level of like pressuring people's life total to the format is cool. I think you have to be like a very smart control player to be able to pull that off. Like chip damaging people and then trying to like end, because you don't want to like throw the game in like a bad direction. You don't want like the Admiral's player to untap the person that you tried to kill with like a Meme Betrayals at 1 life. They flash in their Bowmaster, they kill the control player, and then they go off. Like you just have to be like a very smart control player. But I do think it is opening a lot of cool strategies in the format that I guess are taking advantage of these like 75-minute rounds. Because if people are saying that stacks is being pushed out, then having this new era of control and having this new like, oh, okay, we're gonna play stacks pieces early, and then we're gonna rely on our counter spells and our commander for chip damage later. That's like really cool, and it takes advantage of this. Like, okay, we have to not punish, but like we have to make, I guess, like Grixis based decks use their cards more efficiently because A, they don't want to lose them, or B, they don't want to like die in the process of casting spells. So it's like really dope.
I dig that. I was a big old school player of Circu Lantern Control, and I loved it. So I am definitely down for this idea, and I'm very excited because I also pulled one of the nice looking extended art Talions. So yeah, but that's not the deck that you won with, correct?
No. I didn't know they have Talion in the 99. I just wanted,
Right.
I had Metamorph and Phantasmal Image. I copied it maybe like once. Maybe I think I copied it twice over the weekend. It's still good value. And then creature decks taking 4 damage every time they cast a 2-drop is fire. But no, I won Bonfire with Thrasios Vow Smasher, and I won Festival with T&K on Blue Farm.
Hell
What?
yeah. So which one do you want to talk about first?
Whichever one you want to talk about, it doesn't
All
matter.
right,
They're both cool decks.
Let's go ahead and talk about the deck that you pulled straight out of your ass on a fever dream at 1 a.m. before Bonfire.
Yeah, it was like 4 a.m., but yeah.
It was like 4 a.m. because I got a text at 4 a.m.
Yeah, I sent it to Billy. I sent it to like 3 people, Billy, Fab, and like Harrison at like 4 in the morning after I brewed it. And I was like, let me know what to cut. I'm going to bed. And I think both of them, all 3 of them probably had work in the morning. And Billy got back to me in the afternoon, like, oh yeah, take this out, play this. And I was like, yeah, I want to play Thrasios. I haven't played Thrasios since Flash was in the format.
I mean, there hasn't really been a good reason outside of Kinnan and 5-color piles to play green. It doesn't really offer you a lot compared to the other colors. What besides Thrasios in that pile is green that you consider like pivotal or essential that makes it better than just the normal T and K colors?
I think thinking about its ability. So when brewing the deck, I was looking and I was like, okay, there are slots in TNK that are dedicated to Timna. So when you think about cracking a top deck tutor, when you think about having Dorothy in the deck as a Timna attacker and a way to like pressure storm decks, like you make them use their card advantage differently because they don't want to like pop a Nas, get it countered, let you have access to their Nas. Then it was like I feel like I have more space in Thrasios Vow Smasher to like play payoffs, right? So like I can afford to play Praetor's Grass in the deck and Jessica's Will and One Ring. Whereas I feel like in TNK, the cards, the card quality is so high, and I feel like I need to either every card either needs to be a tutor to get me where I want to be, or a way to control the board so that it gets back to my turn. I feel like having Thrasios is a backup plan that just like sit there, draw cards, accrue value, chill. If I draw Nas, I'm like, cool, come the week, add Nas. If I draw like a Neo form, I'm like, cool, here's like a 3-drop that matters. And I also feel like being able to pivot to dockside combos is cool. Like, I don't know if it's necessary if I think about it, but like having access to like every WinCon TNK has access to, plus being able to just like slap a Teamer Sabertooth and a Cloudstone Carrier in there and be like, oh, I also win with Dockside is like kind of cool. Because I only have 2 win cons in TNK. So if like Breach and Thork will go away and like I'm getting stacked out and no one has a graveyard for like mean bet, then I'm really like fucked. Whereas like I could just be like Curio, Dockside, Infinite Mana, my commander is a sink. Which I never actually thought was a good thing. And then I was like, Dockside's a broken card.
Yeah, 100%. And like what also is cool because so we're talking about cards that you get in green as opposed to in white with TNK is like 2 of the cards that stand out to me the most. Calling Ritual, of course. And I'm gonna lump these together. Neoform and Eldritch Evolution, basically your prod effect kind of things, because both of those can get you into a combo piece. So you can Neoform Vile Smasher, which you always have access to, into Teamer Sabertooth, and go off if you have Dockside. Or, vice versa. You could Eldritch into Dockside or Eldritch into Temur Sabertooth from either of your commanders. So you always have access to something like that. Also, Finale and other things. Abrupt Decay is another huge one that I'm personally a big fan of. Unconditional removal. That's pretty hot for me, as long as 3 or less. I mean, I guess it's not unconditional, but you know what I mean.
I mean, it's pretty valid.
Yeah, it's like only SWAT affects it. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
It's a good piece of removal.
Yeah, because I mean, technically, you also have an extra win condition, which I don't know if you said. You said Dockside your things in outlet. Well, once you generate infinite mana, not only can you draw your deck with Thrasios, you could also just infinitely flicker Orcish Bowmaster to kill everybody.
Yeah, with Temur Sabertooth.
Yeah.
I thought about that the other day too. I was like, oh, there's a win con without Thrasios, which is also very cool.
Yeah, because that gets by if you're under a Draneth. That gets by a couple different things. You know what I mean?
Yes. So yes, I think yesterday playing casually was the first time I actually thought I wanted silence. So I was like, oh, I kind of missed TNK, only because there was a point where I would have just jammed the Grand Abolisher and won the game, or just jammed the silence, but no one had it, so I should have jammed. I ended up realizing like 2 turns later when someone pushed that no one had counter spells, and I could have jammed anyway. But it's more of a question of like I didn't have any backup, so I was just like afraid to go for it. Whereas in T and K, I definitely would have just been like, okay, I have a silence. We can fight over this silence. You won't have any counter spells for the actual win condition. Here's a win condition. So it's like the play patterns are a little different. I feel like I can make up for that by just like playing a defense grid or a Conqueror's Flail. I'm just being really greedy with my slots right now. I'm not even on Mind Break Trap, which is very wrong, but I'm just greedy.
So
I was gonna comment on that, but hey, the other thing I wanted to comment on. Sorry, Max, I'll let you finish. I just want to get this out there real quick before I forget. You're not on almost every Thrasios player's Wet Dream card, Seaborn Muse.
Yeah, no, I chose. So the reason why I played this deck was because my friend Mateo, he's a Italian player. He decided to pick up TNT. Well, he was playing Thrasios Tavesh. And then I told him, I think you should play Thrasios Timna because it suits like your playstyle more. And it's just like adding counter spells to tie him. And then he made TNT, and I was like, I want to play Thrasios. And he was like, yeah, but you don't not want to play red. And then I went home and I was like, you're right. I don't not want to play red. So I was like, fuck it. Thrasios Val Smasher. I get to play Dockside, I get to play Breach, and I get to play Thrasios. And that's really all I cared about. I didn't want to play like medium green. So I chose not to play Seaworm Muse. I chose not to play Training Grounds and just be really greedy with my slots and add as many payoffs as I can to try to like take advantage of every creature tutor for early Dockside, every ritual that would be put in my hand can just win outright off of one of the payoffs. I chose not to play Necro or Beseech the Mirror only because in those like 3-4 like test hands that I saw, it just looked like it messed with the mulligans enough. And obviously, since I made like the night before the tournament, I didn't really have enough time to like test the mulligans. So I was like, whatever, cut these, add some like, add just regular good cards and see what happens.
So I have 2 points. First, would you consider just making this like Kenrith because you still have the mana outlet in the command zone, and then you still get to add white and trim like what little fat there is here just for some silence effects and like the Savine's Reclamation and those like really good top of the line white spells that you can add here just to push it over the edge.
I feel like so I was talking to Mateo today, and I was dreaming about like 5C Thrasios, and I was like, they'll never make a partner that's a shard because everyone would just play 5-color Thrasios because you get access to like the devoted druid lines and you get to like do a lot of stuff with a more, I guess, like not as specific type of sync that Kenrith is. I feel like I wouldn't make this a Kenrith list. I feel like it just plays like Rockside with green. Like it's just Jund Turbo Nose. And green is the support color. And I just kept calling it Wet Jund and I kept calling it like Corvold with counter spells all weekend. Malcolm called it like Dirty Teamer because it's just find dockside, cast your payoffs. And I feel like the white spells would like finishing the breach line. So like Savine's is dead early. It adds for like cool intuition piles. Like I feel like white is more of like a layered mid range, like kind of support color. So like you're casting intuition into a stacks pod, put your dress down in the you put your dress down in the graveyard, you Savine your dress down back, the Archon's turned off, you go off a breach. Whereas like this is just like I'm casting an Adnaz, I'm gonna Thorkel console. I'm casting an Adnaz, I'm gonna breach immediately. And it's like it can also control the board because you have access to Deluge, you have access to Fire Covenant. So I think the white cards would actually make it a little bit like less consistent because you're gonna have like dead silences in your hand. You're gonna have the Savines in your hand. The Grand Abolisher doesn't put you anywhere you need to go. And the density of payoffs right now, especially with how greedy the format is and feeding Dockside, I think it's probably the reason why I won the tournament. Like to be honest, just how greedy the format is.
That's very fair. Yeah, the other thought that I had was I was looking at this is like you took your Inala roots and just made it smoke a shit ton of weed. Like it's really
That's a fact, bro. It's really just Jund Turbo Nod,
yeah.
bro. I like it.
It's just your Inala list sends a bunch of weird creatures and putting in green to find those creature payoffs, and like you're going back to your Inala roots in a really just weird, fucked up way.
Yeah, I was like, it's so funny because when I realized it was Turbonauts, I was like looking at the hands on Moxfield, and I was like, this is just a Turbonauts deck. I'm like a week ago, I was like, I want to play mid range. I want to play like hardcore mid range. I like TNK. I like where it's sitting, and then I just made that deck, and I was like, this is fast as fuck. I just kept seeing like one land T2s, like just one landers that would just win the game off an early dockside, or like T1 birds, T2 culling writ, or T2 like culling the week, or like rock culling ritual. It was like the hands were insane. The rituals in Jund, I just forgot how good that was my first time casting culling ritual in a tournament. It definitely is a very good piece of acceleration.
It's a feeling, I could tell you that. Playing it, I play it in my Najula list, and it's a whole mood.
Yeah, it's one of the cards that I do wish I had access to in Tivit, but we don't have anything nearly that good in Esper Color Pie.
Yeah. Nah, bro. Play Tavesh Ishai, man. Play humility. Let's go.
I refuse to play Humility. That deck is not real. I will stand by Mikey and say that it's ridiculous. Thinking that Humility is going to be good just to stop like Bowmaster, like great. You stop Thoracle. Half the time the Rog and Turbo players are going for the overcomplicated breach lines anyway. They're not going for the Thoracle wins. And like if they have to mill you out, they mill you out. Like I was thinking about Tavesh Ishai for a bit, just as a regular Esper, like more hate bearsy deck, like almost thinking about bringing back Aether Vial, just because I think like flashing in creatures is really good, especially like to stop things like ETBs and whatnot. But I don't think Humility is where it's at right now. I think playing Murder Bird just so you can get the turn 1 Ishai very strong, and then Tavesh in a late game to like draw into your finishers is great. but I think that's more of a hate bear deck that doesn't really have a place right now. And if you're playing humility into this format, I think it's just a bad time.
I don't know. I feel like with these new Demir control aspects, I think the deck can sit in a really good position. Like you play your Italian, you play your Blood Chief Ascension. I hear the Azorius people are like trying to talk about Humility and Agatha's Soul Cauldron because of the way airs work. So if you play Humility first and then you exile something with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, you have a 2/2 that has all the abilities, and then everything else on the battlefield is a 1/1. Also, if you play Humility and Ishai is still the biggest creature because it doesn't lose the +1/+1 counters. So I just feel like it is very slow though, and I feel like it would take a lot of curving. I feel like the pilot would have to curve the deck to fit in to winning in the 75 minutes. I do agree though, like for more tournament play, you probably want to steer clear of like the Humility Agatha Soul Cauldron shenanigans and just focus on like the Italian attrition, kill like make everyone's life total become like shit type of play style.
Yeah, I think
So
that sequencing needs to be way too specific, and you have to have the right combination of creatures in your yard. Because if humility's out first, you can deal with things with Agatha Soul Cauldron and give them back abilities. Sure. If you play Cauldron first, you get nothing. Like, doesn't matter when you exile anything, you get nothing. So, like, it only solves half the problem, and the deck being too slow, like, prove me wrong, internet. Tell me I'm an idiot, and have humility top an event. Show me a top 16 or a top 4 on EDH top 16.
16.
But outside of that, like, you can't sell me on this yet. The same thing with Talion. I think it's a cute flash in the pan that's not going to really hold up long term, because outside of Kinnan right now, 2 colors is not strong enough. Not playing red in a black-blue shell to have access to Dockside when everyone's just going faster, and not having silence to shut those people off. Like, you don't have enough counter spells to deal with it.
I personally love Humility. It's one of my favorite cards. Being a stacks player and all.
Me
A dirty stacks
me
player.
loving the card and accepting that it has no place in our current format are 2 entirely different things.
I do agree.
I don't know.
I do agree. I think that's why I think that strategy fits well under Ishai Tavesh. I feel like an Ishai Tavesh shell can like bring all of the like attrition slow game strategies into a good place. Only because people have to cast spells and Ishai is gonna get huge. But I mean, yeah, I no like I do think Talion is slow by itself, and I don't think there's enough creature removal to like deal with people who like start to clone it because it doesn't really do anything early in the game by itself, especially when people are naming 2. Then when there's like 2 or 3 of them, and then you're like taking 6 damage or 4 damage trying to resolve the local console, and your life total is really low, then it gets a little hard. I just feel like Murder Bird and Tavesh is just a good place for like all those slow and steady wins the race type effects. Humility is cute. I agree. I don't see it winning a tournament. I feel like that's very slow, and the time limit won't like allow for it. I feel like Talion, this whole attrition, play a couple stacks pieces, protect them, especially because the table will have to like help you because the table doesn't want anyone. Usually games are like not arch enemy, but like someone has a lot of advantage and no one's trying to allow them to have access to that advantage. So they'll protect your Grafdigger's Cage, they'll protect your Curse Totem, and stuff like that. And I feel like an Ishai Tavesh shell is probably the best for like that type of strategy. But I do agree though. I don't think Humility can like win a tournament. It's very, very slow.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the deck wouldn't be strong or isn't like a thing somewhere. But in tournament Magic right now. It's the same concept. Like you have to bring a deck that can win a game reasonably within the time frame, and like Stacks is just not there right now. There's no clock good enough to make those strategies viable. Um, Hopefully, maybe we get something that'll add some diversity, or we'll get a card removed from our format, or an answer that just wipes it all away and lets us reset a little bit. But until then, uh, hard control, which was hard for me to accept, is not really viable, and Stacks is just not fast enough. It's too many people to police, and you have to overextend to the point where you shut yourself off.
Facts.
I agree 100%, especially with, we keep mentioning it, which I don't, Max, you can correct me if I'm wrong with this one. Was Festival the first tournament to switch to using 75-minute rounds?
Festival of Nights was the first in-person event to use it. I believe it was also used. It was used the Mox Masters prior for 75-minute rounds.
Okay.
So we've had 4 events that have been doing it. Our data, for the most part, shows it's about appropriately the amount of time that we need to give people based on the number of results being turned in and the number of draws per round that are not IDs.
Okay, so now that's on the judge/TO side for you, Jorman. About as a player, how does the 75-minute rounds feel versus the 90-minute rounds?
I usually get lost, so like rounds end pretty quick. Like they feel like they end pretty quick, and some drag. So I don't know. It's like really just half and half. I guess it depends on how high I am at the beginning of the round or how fast I lose. But like, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's much different than 90. It's like games still feel like they're ending relatively around the same, or people are playing like the same decks they were when like it was 90 minutes. So I guess games are ending on like turn 5. It doesn't really feel that like, yeah, it doesn't feel that long, but it doesn't feel like that short. Games are ending relatively the same amount of time.
So it basically just feels exactly. I mean, I judged Festival, and like for me, it didn't feel any different. I mean, I was personally more thankful for the 75-minute rounds because I got an extra chance to sit down and stuff like that. But like it was nice. It cleaned it up. I wasn't there till the middle of the AM. Like it was nice. It was definitely a lot nicer than the 90-minute rounds. The other thing that I really enjoyed is splitting it into 2-day events, for the most part, for when feasible, of course. Having half one day, half the other day was fantastic because everybody got out, everybody was fresh, nobody was cranky. Like, I mean, there was some cranky people, but that's besides the point. There are always going to be cranky people when you got 160 plus people. So
Yeah, I'm very strongly of the opinion right now that cEDH events that are above 64 players, because that pushes them to 6+ rounds, should realistically be 2 days, and 5 rounds with a cut to 16 is still pushing it because it is an incredibly long day, as we see for Mox Masters, even with the 75-minute rounds. So it's like the reduction in time saves us about an hour and 15 minutes on day 1, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it allows us to get a lot of our stuff wrapped in the back end and be a little bit more prepared for the following day. And it gives the players more time to sleep and come back refreshed for day 2 rather than having them string through another 2 to 3 hours of Magic.
So Jorman, we've been talking all this Magic stuff. Let's get into the real important question. What's your drink of choice?
I don't know. I'm not really that much of a coffee guy. I think I like half and halves. I like Arnold Palmer. That's my
Okay.
favorite drink. I like half and halves. First time I had a half and half, I was in like Well, like a good half and half. I was in ninth grade. I was in like a summer camp for debate, and I was in Baltimore, and it was like half, half and half. I had like iced tea, lemonade, and fruit punch, and that shit was amazing. So I think Arnold Palmer is my favorite drink.
So you were a debate club kid. That explains everything.
Yeah, I did a policy debate in high school. So did Mikey, actually. He was in policy debate.
Huh.
It's funny. His coach actually. I coached alongside his coach a couple of years ago, and I think Shree coached me too at like a couple tournaments in college. Small world, very small
Damn.
world.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's neat to see like the connections with people and how everybody kind of gets around. You know what I mean? Like how you know everybody. Like somebody knows somebody. What's the thing?
6 degrees of separation.
5 steps to Kevin. Yeah, 6 degrees separation. I was gonna say something to Kevin Bacon. You know, it's basically the same thing.
Sure.
So like now you competed in Mox Masters, you compete the in person. How do you feel the difference between online and non-online tournaments are?
I feel like I suck online. This is my first time doing good online. I feel like I can't politic as well. People are like in their house, they're very comfortable. It's hard to politic with someone who's like sitting in their boxers at their computer table. They're just like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do. Their cat walks across the screen. And there is like the tournaments do still keep that, level of integrity though. Like they still have you remembering that you're competing. So there's like that. But I feel like it's just a lot harder. People do whatever the fuck they want when they're in their house just chilling. They'll just jam, they'll feed heuristics. But then you have the people who are like mindful of like, this is still a tournament. I should play the best magic I can. I like online tournaments though. They're like cool. I obviously prefer in-person tournaments. They're a lot more fun. You get to be with your friends. You're in hotels. You're chilling. It's like just a better atmosphere. I feel like, and I get to politic. I like politicking with people in person. I think I'm very good at that part of commander.
Well, I mean, you were in the debate team, obviously, and one of the important things in debating and everything is watching their body language and being able to see somebody's body language in person versus online. Well, you typically can't see somebody's body language online, but in person, you'd be like, "Oh, I just watched you flick your hand. You have an interaction. I'm going to pass priority."
What's really
Yeah, it's way easier to read someone.
what's really funny, not to cut you off, Jorman, is I was gonna bring that up because Jorman is incredible at reading players, which is part of the reasons that we have such great magic when we get to play. The other thing is there is a new magic series coming out by Accepted that is encouraging and pseudo requires a face cam, so you'll actually be able to see your opponents during the entire tournament, which will be much better for watching people's hands during shuffles and such. But also, you'll be able to watch and read people again, which is, I think, the biggest thing that's missing from online play right now.
I definitely agree. Taking advantage of that part of the game is good. Being able to just like watch your opponent, see what they do, see them, just watching them thinking in real time helps a lot.
And then knowing their gameplay before they even know their gameplay is also fantastic too.
Yeah, that's a fact. Just like, especially when you just know their deck, you're just like, yeah, these are the play patterns in this deck. You start to get to know local players and such, and it's like just easy to, I guess, like call cards or like call someone's hand. Like you're gonna tutor here, and then they're just like, yeah, casting lightning tutor, and you're like, yeah, no shit.
You don't say.
Roman, you used to freak out when I did that to you.
That's no. That one time where you saved me from myself, even though you could have just let me get blown out. But that's because you knew that I'm a turbo player and I was gonna bounce your counterbalance. And you're like, I have you stopped before you even commit to overextending yourself. I'm gonna cast this silence. And I was like, how the fuck did Max know what I was gonna do before I did it? That was creepy as fuck.
Uh,
I was like, that was a really good play. Not allowing me to blow myself out or fuck the game up by bouncing your counterbalance. That was a very good play.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I try and play good Magic, and when I don't, I'm usually on stream for the world to see my fuck ups.
I ain't saying shit.
You said enough in private. It's okay.
Hey, it's what I do. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm very hard on myself too. I like look at things and then I see that I missed it, and I'm like, fuck me. I'm absolutely the worst Magic player. But
No, I've seen far worse. Trust me.
we all have. So Jorman, what?
I've been doing this for a long time.
Jorman, what is next for you? What next event are you planning to go to, and what are you taking?
I'll more than likely be at the AK in November. I don't think I'm gonna try to go to Ohio and get the last 15 points I need to play in the Invitational. It would be fun, but I'm probably just gonna chill, hang back, play some locals. But I think the next big event is probably the 8K in November. I don't know what I'm gonna play. I'm gonna keep testing out this wet Jun strategy. Maybe throw a defense grid in there, see what happens. See if I like continuing the gem. There's like TNK is good, Kinnon's good. Like they're just a bunch of good decks. I'm just trying to get out of Swiss and then see what happens in top 16. I feel like I do need the color red though. I wouldn't go into an open meta without Dockside, especially an even bigger meta than normal metas because you just play against more people that'll feed Dockside.
That's very fair. Atlanta is an 8K, and it is set to be 200 players, which is going to be a thing for sure. Not adding an extra round yet, thankfully, but 200 players in a room is going to be interesting. I am probably not ready.
I definitely feel like I also feel like more people will win games. So the more people winning games will disincentivize. I feel like people from IDing because if there's a lot of winners, then there's a lot of winning pods. So I feel like it'll the extra like 40 or 37 players will force the upper tier pods to play against each other, which will create a way better tournament dynamic. And it's gonna be like super fun. I feel like.
For sure. I'm actually excited for that. I'm hoping to see a lot more of that. That's pretty typical. The more players, the harder it is to ID and to top. But what do I have to do to convince you to come to Ohio with me so I'm not bored the whole weekend and playing by myself?
I don't know. I don't. I like. It's like weird because cEDH just because I've been doing good doesn't mean I will always do good. So it's like me trying to get those last 15 points. I could just go try to play Kinnon and just not top 16. So
And then
like
play in
I
the
don't know
open
if
the
I
next
want to
day?
just play in the 10K and beat all the online players and tell them that I'm better than them. It's more accomplishing to just win the bigger tournament against all the people that flew out there because they won a one Mux Masters. I'm like, wait, but I'm better than you. Not to.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, I think it's totally reasonable to think that you could just go out there and take down the invitational qualifier and then play the following day. But then to have the fallback of being able to play in a regular event the next day also, which all of the good players will seemingly be in the qualifier.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I did have a conversation with a couple people at Bonfire that were just like, you should just come. And if you don't top 16, the last chance qualifier, just grind the cEDH event that has no good players because they'll all be playing the 10K. I'm like, maybe.
It does. It makes sense in my brain, but I have to go for reasons. I'm driving half the judges, so
When is that one?
that is October 22nd, 21st, something around there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. The last chance qualifiers on the 20th, with the open and the invitational being on the 21st, and the invitational top 16 will be on the 22nd.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what exactly I'll be doing then, because all of my plans have been, cast into the wind,
Driving
basically,
to Ohio.
or magic
Just
turd.
drive to Ohio. Just don't question it. Just get in the car, turn the key, and drive. You're even closer
So what's
than
really
me.
funny is, I mean, you're not wrong, and what's even funnier about that is, that week I'm supposed to be in Chicago, so I'd actually be even closer than I am now to where that's located.
And you work remote
So-
anyway. Like, easy claps.
Yeah, so the thing is, I just bought a house, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to need to do with the rest of the house.
That's 1 week out of the rest of your life. It's fine.
Congratulations on the house, by the way. Generational wealth, great thing.
Thank you. It was wild. It's been a wild month. I was telling you guys earlier, I got the call that they accepted my offer middle of a judge call during Festival of the Nights. Luckily, my realtor also plays Magic. So when I said, hey, I'm in the middle of a judge call, he didn't question me. He was just like, yeah, all right, cool. Call me back later. Because I was terrified if I had any other realtor of what that question or a judge call. Like, did you get in trouble? Hold on a second.
That's cool. That's a cool realtor. If he plays Magic or they play Magic, that's cool.
Yeah, that's actually how I met him. He was actually part of my play group way back when I first started. And I know he moved to New York and we kind of like lost touch. But we still had a couple of mutual friends. And when I told my one mutual friend that I was looking to buy a house, he goes, oh, talk to so-and-so. And I said, aren't they a realtor out in New York? Because I knew he was a realtor. And he goes, nah, he's out in Scranton. I'm like, oh, okay. So I linked up with him and here I am. I'll be closing literally on my birthday. So I'm okay with that.
Happy birthday. Here's a mortgage.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Here's 30 years of debt.
Good birthday.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Enough for the chit chat. Let's get into the thing that the people want and let's take some test hands. So first one we got up today, Forbidden Orchard, Volcanic Island, Ad Nauseum, Phantasmal Image, Ragavan Nimble Pilfer, Finale of Devastation, Eldritch Evolution. Thoughts?
So these were the type of hands that I was like kind of getting all weekend. I feel like it was like one or two lands, a payoff, and then a whole bunch of ways to get dockside. I feel like the hand is definitely mana intensive. And I would only keep this if I felt like that turn 2 dockside was going to cast Ad Nauseum.
Okay, what position would you definitely keep this turn 1? Would you keep this turn 4 and in between?
I think if I'm first or second, I'm gonna go to 6. I feel like if I'm third or fourth, depending on what decks are in front of me, I'm definitely keeping this. Like T1 Ragavan, make the like the like mirage of like, yeah, I kept the value hand. T2, everyone taps out for their card advantage engine or plays their commander. And I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. Eldritch Evolution into Dockside Extortionist, try to cast an Adnos.
And you do that post combat,
I
so you
dig
have an extra mana available.
Well, that's the only way to get the
Oh right,
turn
I forget
2.
he doesn't have haste. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm so bad
Yeah.
at Magic. I saw a red card. I'm like,
It's okay. You
dash
respect.
monkey. Fuck. No dash monkey.
All right, down for another one?
Yeah, I'm definitely down. Let's see.
All right.
Maybe I can read cards this time.
Oh, this is hot. Damn, this has no red mana. This is hot though.
You want to read it off and we'll talk about it?
Cool Lion's Eye Diamond, Ancient Tomb, the One Ring, Mystical Tutor, Rite of Flame, Noxious Survival. I like this hand.
But does it do anything?
You're on pure hopium, aren't you?
I'm not on pure opium. You Mystical Tutor for Dark Rite.
And then you get the 1 ring down. Yeah. Yeah. So it's turn 2, 1 ring. What's the mana left over?
Turn 2, 1 ring, and then you grind shit to oblivion. Or if we're trying to be spicy, oh no, never mind. Actually, can we be spicy? Is this a T2? So like the way I look at Turbo Nas hands are so crazy. So like I would either can you draw a card, Billy? All right, so draw a Wishclaw Talisman. Damn, that makes it even fucking.
That makes it insane.
That's insane, dog. So like, part of me was thinking, right, mystical tutor for dark, mystical tutor for like demonic tutor, and then play the ancient tomb, cast demonic tutor, hold priority, crack LED, and then play the underworld breach, and then just go for a T2 breach win. Like just win the game on T2 off of breach. I think there's enough cards in the graveyard. No, I think you have enough cards in the graveyard to recast the demonic tutor. I think the hard part is making the blue because you're cracking LED for red originally to play the breach. I feel like the Wishclaw Talisman definitely enables the dark red plan. Because now, now you can go Ancient Tomb, Dark Red, Wishclaw, activate Wishclaw, crack LED, and I think it's a T2 Nas now, if I'm doing the math correctly.
That's where my head was at, because you go Morphic Pool, pass the turn, end step Mystical Tutor, play your LED out obviously, and end step play the Mystical Tutor, put Dark Rit on top, play your Ancient Tomb, play the Dark Rit, play your Wishclaw, activate your Wishclaw, crack LED.
Crack LED, yeah, crack LED for 3 black. You have 5.
And I think you're 1 extra mana.
No, I think you have 5 exactly in the pool, and then you just add Nas. And if you can also like put your you never mind. You don't have priority to put LED back on top with Noxious Survival. So yeah, it was these are the type of hands I was getting all weekend. It was just like yo, weird obscure hands that are also like T2s.
That's why you won, because you got these weird ass hands that were great.
Yeah, they just like the deck is like super consistent. It just like kept just getting there, and I was like, these hands don't get there, and then you look at them a little longer, and you're just like, this just gets there.
Yeah, that's where I am. I'm like staring at this. I'm like, why are we happy about this? This doesn't look like it does. There's no fast mana. All I have is an LED, and we pitch our whole hand. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
You're looking at this all wrong, Max.
Dude, I'm looking at this like a Tivit player, and I'm like, I can't jam a turn 1 Tivit off of this. What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah,
this has red cards.
I think that's like a lot of players like look at hands and like, oh, it has no mana or like fast mana. And then as a Grixis player, I'm like, I could just get there with rituals and then draw my fast mana off the Nas, which means my post Nas is better unless someone jammed like an early like Silver Bullet, like Turbo Orb or like Blind Obedience. And then I'm just like, my Dockside's off and my fast mana's off.
Right. I mean, that's the idea behind a lot of Rogside, right? Is you don't want a lot of rocks in your opener. You really want the rituals because the rocks are free in the deck, and so you're hitting zeros that generate mana rather than 1s and 2s. So it is really just the turbo Grixis pile with some green cards.
Yeah, losing the Noxious early and the Rite of Flame is probably bad, but like having no fast mana in the early hand means that the Nas is almost guaranteed to slap.
All right, let's pull another one. Okay.
This is
Max, go ahead and read that.
We have Exotic Orchard, Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet, Talisman of Dominance, Demonic Tutor, Underworld Breach, and Culling Ritual. Fuck.
So, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a turn 2 win, right?
I think this is like a mana too short, actually. I think it's like short, like actually. So I think if we go for the draw, wait, you have to draw a card. All right, so the top deck is Eldritch. It does nothing. That's also what kept happening. It's like some hands aren't creature hands, but then Billy's right. Like I always have access to my commander. So even if this becomes a turn 2 Thrasios hand, I still have access to like Temur Sabertooth Dockside on turn 4. So I can go for like a sneaky turn 4. If that gets stopped, then I have it on turn 5. Or the sneaky turn 4 can turn into no one had interaction for Temur Sabertooth. The game is over. But I think this is 1 mana short of being a T2. You go Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet, untap. If you go Demonic Tutor, I still think you're like 1 card short in the graveyard if you crack LED. Oh, no, because you have another card. I think Billy's right. I think this is just a T2 breach.
See, I was thinking it's either
If I'm
T2
doing the
breach
math correctly, I think it's a T2 breach.
or it's a T2 ad nos.
Oh yeah, right. Well, yeah, the
Culling
culling
Ritual.
rate. The culling rate enables itself. If there's 6 permanents, the game. If there's 7 permanents, the game is just over. Yeah, if there's 7 permanents, you just you have 1, 2 of them, the game is done. You just go culling rate, demonic tutor ad nauseum, and the game is just over.
Yeah, I think that's the only line. I don't really see the breach line from here, but you could correct me if I'm wrong.
So you cast out the breach, you cast out the D tutor, grabbing
LED?
would you grab Brain Freeze here?
I think the play is Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet. Then turn 2, you play the Exotic Orchard. You tap the Ancient Tomb for 1. You tap the Arcane Signet for black. You cast Demonic Tutor. You have a colorless in the pool. You play the Breach with the Exotic Orchard and the colorless. You crack LED for 3 black, and then you exile Culling Writ, Eldritch Evolution, Talisman to cast Demonic Tutor from the yard. And I think I think you're a blue short because you're cracking LED for 3 black, and it doesn't give you the blue that you need to cast Brain Freeze. You can get 2 Brain Freeze, you just can't cast it.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to have the talisman on board, if anything.
I'm glad I'm not crazy on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you feel about one
know how
more?
to count.
Sorry.
Your knowledge extends to counting to 6. After Tivit comes down, you don't care.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's okay. I can count past that though. I can count the number of turns I need. The number of turns I need is 12. So we take a second to recognize how crazy it is that I'm happy playing a deck that needs 12 turns to close out the game.
Well,
it's commander damage. It's better than all of us. We just want to combo off.
Exactly. And not only that, it's not 12 separate turn cycles. It's 12 turns that you take. Like for Najeela, for instance, that is 6 combats, and that's lethal for everybody. 6 unabated or unbothered combats, and Najeela wins.
So I need to double the number of combats that Najeela needs.
Yes.
Fantastic.
But you're taking your own turns.
Yeah.
Now if you were taking 12 turn cycles, that'd
be awful. Yeah, that'd be
yes.
rough.
Yeah, like sometimes Najeela could just get there in like a stacks meta. I mean, I've come pretty close myself playing against like a Winota stacks deck where they're just like locking down the board, and I'm like, cool, I'm just gonna turn sideways with Najeela. Stop me, and I'm just attacking like the other people and throwing 1 or 2 warriors at like somebody else. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. Like
I'm gonna go open the door for someone. I'll be right back in like a minute.
Yeah, you're good. I'm gonna get another hand going, so. This one's really close.
Oh, the Cabal has a Rowan list. This is kind of gross.
What
the
happened?
Cabal has a Rowan list now. Yeah.
Oh, Rowan? The red-black thing?
Row your damage, yep.
Yeah. This one feels to me like a trap hand, so.
Stop looking. If we're not first, it's fine.
That's what I mean. And not really, because like, yeah, you're getting a Whirly Tutor to get for Dockside, but what are you doing after that?
Playing your commanders.
Great.
Ooh, I had to change my headset better. Give me a sec.
That's fine.
This is a weird one. T2 Dockside, no payoff. Can't keep it.
Wait, Max, did you hear that?
What happened?
He literally gets back. He goes, "This is a weird one. Turn 2 Dockside, no payoff." Literally what I just said.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, bro, you need at least a payoff. You can't keep Docksides with no payoff. Someone else will copy it and then you just lose.
Yeah, so I definitely want to talk about this one because it's a trap hand, in my opinion. Like, someone's going to see this because Max is like, this seems fine. And I'm like, nah, this is why it's not. And then you come in and you say the exact same thing.
Can I hear anything?
So,
Yeah, no, so okay, so the thing about the deck that's really cool is that this is 1,000% keepable because it goes T2 Thrasios. I mean T1 Thrasios, you have March and you have Red Elemental Blast. But like I don't want to play control. So if this is a first or second 7, I'll definitely see it in second 7. I'll definitely see a 6. If this is like a 6 and I'm going to 5, I'm just gonna bottom right of flame and then play control. And then just chill with REB in March until I can find a place to jam Dockside comfortably. But if this is like anything before 6, I'm gonna see a new hand.
absolutely. I 100% agree.
Yeah,
The
like
hand.
if this is 6, I'm definitely just like bottom right of flame, play gemstone, either pitch March or pitch REB, whichever one I think is more relevant. Probably pitch March, hold on to REB, or probably just like bottom March and like pitch the right of flame, hold up a elemental blast the whole game, and just play T1 Thrasios and just pray that I can layer my Dockside in like 2 turns. I guess that's something else that you get, Max, from like playing green. You can just like play control. You can just be like, I'm chilling. You can just lie to people, be like, yeah, I'm playing a creature strategy, and then you just like jam a Nas.
I mean, I feel like the Rockside decks play control half the time because they just bide their time, stop win cons, and then go off. So it's like still the same concept. You just get to lie a little bit better because you're playing green.
Yeah, exactly. That's the cool thing, though. I guess that's the flexibility you have with playing Thrasios, right? Like, I guess that's probably the only reason why you play Wet Jund is just like the Brewer's choice advantage of like being able to pivot to as many creature combos. Like this deck can technically run Kin Assault. It can technically, like fit more turbo Graces plans like Necropotence, Born Upon a Win. You also get access to like Final Fortune and Crop Rotate into Emergent Zone. So like you're doing kind of better than Mardu Core because you get access to Crop Rot, which Mardu only has access to like play Emergent Zone and then or like Final Fortune. So it's like kind of weird.
That makes sense. I mean, I had a thought and then Billy disappeared. Oh no, where'd Billy go? But my thought is, if anybody sits across from a table and gives you any type of brewer's advantage, man, they're stupid. They people need to know to respect anything that you decide to bring to a table, like without fail.
No, that's definitely a fact though. I mean, I feel like the best players just choose their cards like correctly, efficiently. Everything is played. I feel like every card is played with purpose, really. So like you have purposeful include, you have silver bullets, you have staples.
I guess we should get this all wrapped up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, great combo by cEDH. It was good.
So, with all that, Jorman, where can we find you? Aside from winning at the top tables.
You can find me on Discord. My Discord handle is Twang, TWANG. Big Twang, Same on Moxfield. I don't got the socials up yet, at least not for Magic, but my Facebook is just my name, Jorman Antigua, JORMAN ANTIGUA. And yeah, y'all can find me there. Talk to me about Magic. Hit me up. We get deck tech and stuff. It's fun.
Hell yeah. Max, how about you?
If it says Eminence, I'm in there. You can find me. I am Trickbound or Trickbound MTG in just about every space. I will be at the Silicon Dynasty coming up next week, which is only a week away at the time of this recording. At the time this is posted, I will probably be very sad and getting scrubbed out of the event. Then I will be at the Mox Masters Invitational, and following that, I'll be at the CCS Eminence Celebration of Gaming down in Atlanta. So everywhere, if there's cEDH.
And you can find me as always here, Commander and Coffee, Twitter, or not Twitter, X, whatever it is now. I don't even know.
It's still Twitter.
Is it still? It's still Twitter to me, at CMDR_coffee. Cortronymous on Moxfield. Just you'll find me everywhere. I'll be wandering around events when I get to go to them now, because now since I have to like do house things, it's kind of confusing for me, and I don't know what to do with my life. But other than that, yeah, I'll be at the next Rip and Ship event. I don't know the next Eminence event I'll be at, but hopefully it's soon. Hopefully it's one of them. If I could swing it, I'm going to for sure. I don't really know what else. Little delayed on recording this because life for all of us, really, when it boils down to it, between sick and there was like 4 major events right in a row. So yeah,
it's fine. We just got to double up on this monster taking down too many fucking events in a row.
Yeah, I'm still petitioning for Jorman best cEDH player in the United States. Probably, I mean, hell, I'll say it now. Best cEDH player in the world. Put him against any Euro. He's going to take him down.
I don't know. Let's check the Eminence win rate percentage.
I'll start with the Northeast right now. I like being one of the best in the Northeast. It's fun. And yeah, it was a delay on this conversation, but it was good. I like talking to y'all. I always talk to Billy and Max about Magic. Billy definitely helps me deck tech and come up with those spicy 98th, 99th, 100th cards. Billy has the knowledge, man.
Been doing this for a while.
I just sit here and advocate for Trickbind.
I mean, it's a good slot. I like Tails End, but yeah, Trickbind's just uninteractable with.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's it, because I'm out of coffee. And anybody else have anything they want to say? Get off their chest?
Unban Hull Breacher, hot take.
I'm down for that.
There's a lot of cards that don't need to be on the ban list. I want Primetime back for no reason other than I love Primeval Titan.
That's a conversation for another recording.
It's fine.
But all right, everyone, have a great time, day, night, whatever you're listening to this, and enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Good night, everyone.